Erev Tov Rabotai, we are continuing with our Mishna Yomi, Masechet Sanhedrin. We are up to Perek Chet Mishnah Alayev. Today's Mishnayot should be Le'ilui Nishmat, Neria ben Svetlana, Ranbai, Eliyahu ben Burcha Israelov, Chana bad Miriam, Sason ben Ryan, Yoshua ben Shifra, Menuchatam beGan Eden, Amen. And Avdib ben Chaim leChaim, v'derefua shelemav Daniel Shalom ben Rosa, Betor Shachu leYisrael, and Achlama Merav Binyamin, Old Zion Chai ben Dvorah. In chapter 7, Mishnah 4, we listed the sinners who are liable to execution by stoning. After explaining all the others mentioned there, the Tana deals with the last one, the Ben Sorer Umore, a wayward and rebellious son. This is a youth who steals money and uses it to buy meat and wine, which he consumes greedily. If he does this a number of times, despite being warned and punished, his behavior shows that he is so drawn to excessive eating and drinking that he will live a life of theft and murder to support his habit. He will be so desperate for money that he will steal to get it, and if the owner resists, he will kill the owner. The Torah rules that under very limited and specific conditions, he should be put to death because he should die innocent and not die guilty, as the Mishnah will say in Mishnah 5. Now, the Torah itself states very few of the conditions that must be fulfilled in order for youth to become a Ben Sorer Umoreh. All the conditions cited in this chapter were taught to Moshe at Sinai. These conditions are so numerous and so narrow that it is almost impossible for anyone to become a Ben Sorer Umoreh. Indeed, according to some Tanaim, the Gemara on page 71a says, there never was a Ben Sorer Umoreh, nor will there ever be one in the future. Why then was the passage of the Ben Sorer Umoreh written in the Torah? God says, study the passage and you will receive reward for doing so. In other words, the Torah includes the passage of Ben Sorer Umoreh not to teach practical laws, but to provide a text that scholars can study and interpret to yield important life lessons. In order to become a Ben Sorer Umoreh, the youth must carry out the sinful behavior within a certain period in his physical development. The Mishnah defines this period. Ben Sorer Umoreh, a Ben Sorer Umoreh, me'ematai na'aseh Ben Sorer Umoreh. At what age can one become a Ben Sorer Umoreh? Misheyavi shte sarot, from when he grows 2 pubic hairs. A boy becomes an adult who is obligated to observe the mitzvot when he grows 2 pubic hairs after turning 13. Pubic hairs that grow before the age of 13 are not considered a sign of physical maturity. Vachekif zakan, until a beard grows around. The Mishnah will explain what this means. Before 2 pubic hairs grow, he is too young to become a Ben Sorer Umoreh, and after a beard grows around, he is too old. The Mishnah explains what beard means here. Hatachton velo elyon. This refers to the lower, the pubic hair, and not to the upper, the facial hair. Ela shedibru chachamim b'lashon nekiyah. But the sages used the word beard because they spoke with refined language. The Mishnah said until a beard grows around because it was quoting the law as it was taught by the sages of earlier times, and then explained what those sages meant. Therefore, a beard grows around means that hair surrounds the male organ. Once someone has reached that stage, he can no longer become a Ben Sorer Umoreh. And the source in the Torah for this law is stated, Shenemar ki ish ben, for it is stated regarding a Ben Sorer Umoreh in Dvarim chapter 21 verse 18, if a man will have a son. The word son teaches 2 things, ben velo bat. Only a son can become a Ben Sorer Umoreh and not a daughter, meaning only a boy and not a girl. This law is not the subject of our Mishnah. Still, since the Mishnah will learn the minimum age of a Ben Sorer Umoreh from this word son, it mentions another law that is derived from the same word, Ben velo ish. Only a son can become a Ben Sorer Umoreh and not a man, who in this context is defined as someone with hair surrounding the organ. Now, the word son usually includes a minor, a boy who has not yet grown 2 pubic hairs, and the Mishnah explains why this cannot be its meaning here. Hakatan patur, a minor is exempt from the punishment of a Ben Sorer Umoreh, shelo ba lichlal mitzvot, because he has not yet entered the category of people who must observe the mitzvot, meaning since a minor is not yet obligated to observe the Torah's laws, he is too young to be punished for his actions. Therefore, the laws of Ben Sorer Umoreh cannot possibly apply to a minor. The word son in the verse must therefore be understood as referring to someone who has just become an adult. He has grown 2 pubic hairs, and it excludes someone at the next stage of development, one who has hair surrounding the organ. Since the word son does not include a minor in this context, the words of the verse ki ish ben, literally, when a man has a son, are interpreted as though they read ki ben ish, when a son is close to the full maturity of a man, meaning he has grown 2 pubic hairs. If a youth engages in the sinful behavior before he grows 2 pubic hairs, he cannot be punished because he is too young to be held responsible for his actions. Rather, the behavior must take place after he grows 2 pubic hairs when he is legally an adult. On the other hand, like the verse taught, if he sinned after reaching full maturity, meaning his pubic hair is grown around his organ, or 3 months have passed, whichever is sooner, he is too old to be treated as a ben sorel umoreh. The period in which a youth can become a ben sorel umoreh cannot be longer than 3 months. The Mishnah refers to someone who grew hair around his organ less than 3 months after 2 pubic hairs appeared. Only in that case does this growth of hair mark the end of the period in which he can become a ben sorel umoreh. Otherwise, the period ends as soon as 3 months have passed. And that is end of Mishnah Aleph. Now the Torah describes the ben sorel umoreh as a glutton and guzzler in Dvarim chapter 21 verse 20, meaning someone who eats and drinks greedily. The exact definition of these words as they relate to a ben sorel umoreh was taught to Moshe at Sinai and is recorded in our Mishnah. Me'ematai chayav, when does a youth become liable to punishment as a ben sorel umoreh? Misheyuchal tartemar basar, when he eats a tartemar of meat, half a maneh of meat. A maneh is the weight of 100 dinar coins. In order to become a ben sorel umoreh, one must eat the meat when it is only partially cooked. This is how bandits who are always on the run eat their meat. Vishishteh chatzi log yain haitalki, and drinks half a log of Italian wine. A log is a liquid measure equal to the volume of 6 eggs. The Mishnah specifies Italian wine because it is an excellent wine that is highly addictive. Therefore, youth can become a ben sorel umoreh by drinking just 1/2 log of it. If he drinks a less addictive type of wine, the required amount would be greater. Wine in those times was not drunk unless it was heavily diluted with water. However, the guzzler referred to here is one who drinks wine that is only partially diluted. The next Tana holds, only a youth who eats and drinks these amounts without stopping, besides meeting all the other conditions, can be a ben sorel umoreh. He must consume the meat and wine like a glutton and a guzzler, which means eating and drinking the full amounts without stopping, as the Rambam writes in Nechut Mamrim, chapter 7, Halakha 2, as explained by Radvaz. The next Mishnah shall teach that he is not liable to execution unless he bought the meat and wine with money that he stole from his father. And doing all these things just once does not make him liable to execution. Rather, he must repeat the behavior a number of times, continuing even after he was warned and given lashes, as it will say in Mishnah 4. Now, the next Tana holds that the amounts are double. Rabbi Yossi says, maneh basar v'log yain, he must eat a whole maneh of meat and drink a whole log of wine. And the Rab tells us, Venachak Rabbi Yossi, the Halakha does not follow the opinion of Rabbi Yossi. The Mishnah lists a number of situations in which a youth consumes these amounts of meat and wine, and yet does not become a ben sorel umoreh. Achal b'chavurat mitzvah, if he ate at a gathering for a mitzvah, for example, he ate with a group of Kohanim who are eating sacrificial meat, or a group of ordinary Jews who are eating the Pesach offering. Another example is eating at a wedding feast. When a person's eating or drinking is associated with a mitzvah, it does not lead to habitual overindulgence. Such consumption, therefore, does not make one a ben sorel umoreh. Achal be'ibu achodesh, or he ate at the meal held to publicize the addition of a day to the month. If the previous month had 30 days and not 29, the court would gather 10 or more people to eat a meal on the 31st day in order to spread the word that the day is Rosh Chodesh. Even though the food usually served at this meal is bread and beans, and this youth brought meat and wine, since he is involved with a mitzvah, he will not be drawn to further acts of excessive consumption. Achal ma'aser sheni b'Yerushalayim, or he ate meat or drank wine in Yerushalayim that was bought with ma'aser sheni money. The Torah suggests that one spend money of ma'aser sheni on cattle, flocks, wine, and strong drink in Dvarim chapter 14 verse 26. Therefore, eating meat and wine that was bought with money of ma'aser sheni is a standard way of fulfilling the mitzvah of treating ma'aser sheni properly. Achal nevelot utrefot, shkatzim uremasim, or he ate the forbidden meat of nevelot, an animal that died without being properly slaughtered. Trefot, an animal that suffers from one of the 18 fatal defects that will cause it to die within 12 months. Shekatzim, in the category of shkatzim includes vermin of various kinds, such as worms, snakes, and scorpions, as well as rodents and insects. Or remasim, tiny worms and insects that grow inside of fruit or rotting matter. All these categories are forbidden to eat. The sages learn from the Torah that eating forbidden food does not make one a ben sorel umoreh. Achal tevel or maaser rishon shelo nitrat trumato, maaser sheni ve'ekdesh shelo nivdu, or he consumed the forbidden wine of tevel. Various portions must be separated from the produce of Eretz Yisrael, such as teruma, maaser rishon, and maaser sheni. Before all the required portions have been removed, the produce may not be eaten. Produce in this state is called tevel, or maaser rishon, whose teruma was not removed. one of the portions, Maaser Rishon, must be given to a Levi. The Levi is obligated to separate a tenth of it and give that tenth to a Kohen. This tenth is called Terumat Maaser. Before the Terumat Maaser has been separated, Maaser Rishon is Tevel and may not be eaten. Or Maaser Sheni or Hekdesh that was not redeemed. Maaser Sheni that was not redeemed, exchanged for money, must be taken to Jerusalem and eaten there. The Mishnah means that the youth consumed unredeemed Maaser Sheni outside of Jerusalem. And Hekdesh is the name for items donated to the temple. Before they are redeemed, no benefit may be derived from them. Now some commentators delete this section from the Mishnah because these prohibitions apply to produce that grows from the ground and not to meat. So it's difficult to explain the Mishnah is referring only to drinking wine, which comes from grapes, because the Mishnah uses the word achal, which usually means eating food. That's a discussion in the commentaries. Achal davar shu mitzvah, or he ate something that is a mitzvah to eat. Now the Mishnah already stated that one does not become a ben soel or moed through an act of eating that is associated with a mitzvah. However, that could be understood as referring only to a Torah mitzvah. The Mishnah teaches here the same is true of a rabbinic mitzvah, such as comforting a mourner by participating in the first meal that a mourner eats after the funeral. V'davar shu averah, he ate something that is a sin to eat. Here the Mishnah includes an act of eating that is forbidden only under rabbinic law, like eating on a public fast day. All public fast days besides Yom Kippur are rabbinic. Achal kol ma'achal v'lo achal basar, or he ate any food but did not eat meat. Shata kol mashke v'lo shata yain, or he drank any drink but did not drink wine. Eno na'aseh ben sorel moeh. In each of these cases, he does not become a ben sorel or moeh. Ad she'ochal basar v'yishte yain. One does not become a ben sorel or moeh unless he eats meat and drinks wine. Shenemar zolel v'soveh, as it is stated, a glutton and a guzzler in Dvarim chapter 21 verse 20, which refers to one who eats meat and one who drinks wine. Even though there is no proof that a glutton is one who eats meat and a guzzler is one who drinks wine, there is a hint to the matter. For it is stated in Proverbs 23:20, do not be among guzzlers of wine and gluttonous eaters of meat. This is not a solid proof because it could be argued that glutton and a guzzler refer to the excessive consumption of any food or drink, and the verse mentions meat and wine because they are the most likely to draw a person to overindulgence. But the Mishnah says it is a hint to the matter. And that is in Abotai of today's Mishna Yomi. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen v'amen.